So now let's talk about week 9. We've reached the start of the second half of the season. 8 weeks are in the books, and there are now 10 more to go. That's right? 8, we reached week 9, 9 more to go, right? Math, help me. Kind of not my strong suit, but you get the point. So we know at this point who's the cream of the crop, who are the fluky flukes, and who's pretty much outright terrible. And, well, there's the Detroit Lions, who are on bye this week, so we don't get to see them be, well, the Detroit Lions. So, obviously, speaking of Detroit Lions on bye, we have the Seahawks, the Washington football team, and the defending Super Bowl champion, the Bucs, also on bye this week. So, besides those teams being on bye, Week 9 does present us with a variety of games that, well, the previous weeks have yet to present us. Games that could be traps for playoff contenders, games for those in need of a bounce-back win or a win in general, or games that for teams looking to continue their recent success after getting a win. So, let's talk about this Week 9. Let's start off with the Thursday night game that just happened a couple days ago. And that was the Indianapolis Colts beating the New York Jets 45-30, bouncing back from that bad loss to the Tennessee Titans in Week 8. And honestly, this was a second straight week Thursday night game which was pretty much a poop game. It was pretty much shit. And I just asked before the game, how are the Jets, how are the Giants, how are these New York teams that are pretty much shit still have primetime games? I get it. It's the New York media. It's one of the biggest, if not the biggest media market in the world, in the United States. But can we just at least look at the fact that the Jets and the Giants suck so much that they don't deserve a primetime game regardless of, their media market? They don't. They do not. Especially when it's it's simulcasting on 3 different platforms. They were on Fox, they were on NFL Network, and they were on Prime Video. Unlike the New York Giants, they were on NFL Network for the Thursday night game. And they also had 2 Monday night games on ESPN, on national television. And the next one they're going to be on, they're likely going to get whooped by the Tampa Bay Bucks. So anyway, just a little side ramble on that. So in this game, not Matt Rule, but Jets backup Mike White, he seemed primed to follow up on his success against the Bengals, and he looked that way. He got a touchdown pass, responding to Nyheim Hines' opening drive touchdown, and Mike White threw a touchdown pass in the Jets' opening possession of the game, but he suffered a hand injury when he took a hit to the ground, and that forced him out of the game. And, that forced in Josh Johnson to take the reins of the offense. And, well, unfortunately for the Jets, they couldn't move the damn ball. And that resulted in the Colts, on the backs of Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines. Carson Wentz pretty much powered through the Jets, but, they had to survive a somewhat last-minute comeback scare from Mr. Johnson and the Jets. And the Colts win 45-30. How did they allow this to happen in the last stages of the game? How? This is what happened with the 49ers in week 1 against Detroit. How do you let this happen? Sure, you got the win, but how do you make this a near 2-score game? I do not get it. So then, let's get into the Sunday slate of games in regards to the picks. The Atlanta Falcons are traveling to New Orleans to take on the Saints. Both teams are coming into this game losing two big players. The Falcons don't have Calvin Ridley still, and Jameis Winston is gone for the Saints. It's going to be a game of adjustments for both teams. I'm going to go on a limb here and pick the Falcons to upset the Saints, because we don't know what the offense is going to look like for both teams, but at least with the Falcons, you still have Matt Ryan, And sure, you don't have like a downfield threat in Calvin Ridley, at least for the time being, but you still have a potential, breakout tight end in Kyle Pitts. You still got a resurgent Cordell Patterson and a bunch of no-name receivers. So at least you have some things going for you on offense, in contrast to the Saints, where you have Trevor Siemian, and the only thing you also have going there is Alvin Kamara. So I'm going to go on a limb here and pick the Falcons to win this one. The Denver Broncos travel to Jerry's World to take on the Dallas Cowboys. And while the Broncos may have Jerry Jeudy back and are definitely going to feature him more, they just traded away Von Miller on defense, and the Cowboys, granted Dak plays on Sunday, the Cowboys are just going to have too much talent all around for the Broncos to overcome. So I'm taking the Dallas Cowboys. The New England Patriots travel to Carolina to take on the Panthers. The Panthers are likely going to continue their free fall. So even though they're 4-4, they're not a good 4-4. Meanwhile, the Patriots are likely to continue their recent winning surge. Mac Jones is still going to, do his part and let the defense do their part as well. A team effort. A team effort there, Maggle. So whether it's Sam Darnold or PJ Walker under center, this Panthers team is not like what it was in the first 3 weeks of the season. So I'm going with the New England Patriots. The Minnesota Vikings take on the Baltimore Ravens. The Vikings are coming off their typical Cousins primetime showcase, but the Ravens coming off the bye and coming off their dud against the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 7. Yeah, I think they're going to get rid of that stench more so than the Vikings. Expect Lamar Jackson and company to pretty much run over a Vikings defense that was exposed pretty much by, the backup Cooper Rush in prime time. So the Cleveland Browns, fresh off releasing Odell Beckham Jr., take on the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. The Bengals are coming off their own stinker against the Jets, but despite that, they still have a crap ton of talent with Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, and a defense that's doing still solid overall. And they'll be able to bounce back against a Browns team that has fully reverted back into skid mark mode. Yeah, so I'm going with the Bengals. The Buffalo Bills travel to AEW Land to take on the Jaguars. I mean, it's no question that unless the Bills really let down on this game, they overlooked this game, I think the Bills are all around going to squash a Jaguars team like they're jobbers. Like, they're going to treat the Jaguars like the Bills should treat AEW. So the Bills are going to squash the Jags that's been super out of sync coming out of the bye and will pretty much stay that way after this game. The Houston Texans travel to Miami to take on the Dolphins in the we don't want Deshaun Watson, but we want to win a game. So this team, for all the disappointment and for all the lack of execution that Brian Flores has done all season long, I think the Dolphins, they have enough talent to win this one, unless they flub it up so bad that they let the Texans win it. The Las Vegas Raiders return from their bye to take on the New York Giants. The Raiders, they're fresh off their another off-field issue with Henry Ruggs getting arrested and his career likely ending with a severe case of DUI that resulted in a death of another person. And man, this Raider season has been full of turmoil, and not in a very, very good way. But they can't let this latest off-field issue cost them a prime opportunity to distance himself from the pack, the Chargers and the Chiefs, to take good possession of the AFC West, because they're going to be facing a Giants team that's severely lacking in the offensive. So guys like Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, Bryan Edwards, and Josh Jacobs, they got to step up for Derek Carr to help the team win this game. So I'm going with the Raiders. I'm a bigger guy, but I think the Raiders are still better than the Giants. Now we get to the afternoon slate of games. The LA Chargers traveled to the city of brotherly love that has been kind to the Philadelphia Eagles. Justin Herbert's got to eventually shake off this growing pain of losing back-to-back games in the Ravens and the Patriots. And I think this game should be the game that takes that step. For all the issues the Chargers have been having with stopping the run and stopping tight ends and their own offensive problems. They should have no problem beating a very flawed Eagles team that, even though they pretty much ran over Detroit, literally, they were playing Detroit. So, I should have no problem taking the Chargers team winning here. And what was the matchup of the week? The Green Bay Packers take on the Kansas City Chiefs in the State Farm Wet Dream Bowl that is likely never going to happen. Like I said before, Aaron Rodgers tested positive for COVID and is not going to be playing on Sunday against Patrick Mahomes. And instead, the Packers will be sending out Jordan Love for his first NFL start. And, some people will say this is going to be a downgrade for Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones. And, they have a valid reason to say so. For me, I think it could be an opportunity for Jordan Love to show whether or not he's going to be the guy to succeed Rodgers whether he gets traded in terms of Rodgers, when Rodgers gets traded or when Rodgers retires. So that being said, this is Jordan Love's first real opportunity to see what he has, to see if he's the guy in Green Bay. And nonetheless, the Chiefs are pretty much going to win this thing. They're still struggling offensively and defensively, but this is a game where they pretty much can't shit the bed because, there's no Aaron Rodgers in this game. The whole offense for Green Bay is going to be out of sorts. So this is going to be a game for the Chiefs that they have to treat as a get-right game on offense. They got to torch the Packers at home. So I'm taking the Chiefs. Then in Santa Clara, the 49ers host the Arizona Cardinals, the now 7-1 Cardinals. And I got to be honest, it's going to be very hard to predict what's going to happen in this game. Is Kyler Murray going to play or is Colt McCoy going to play? Who's going to be the quarterback that the 49ers face this time around? And unfortunately, we won't know close to game time. But at least what I do know is that at least the 49ers do have a little bit of a chance to beat them this time around. We saw in week 5 that even though Kyler Murray was healthy, the 49ers defense was able to limit Murray and that offense. Even though it's just 17 points, and at least they were Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins connected on that little bomb. It was more so that the Niners offense and Kyle Shanahan couldn't fully take advantage of opportunities. And it was Trey Lance's first start. And, he was limited by the dumb play calling. So, nonetheless, I do think the Niners have a little bit of chance this time around. I mean, for as much as, Jimmy Garbage Pail is shit, he presents, somewhat of a fighting chance to win. And hopefully Kyle Shanahan trusts him enough to, beat them. And, if Kyle Murray starts, his mobility is going to be limited because of the ankle injury he suffered in the Packers game. And, he shouldn't be moving around. He shouldn't be running around in circles out of the pocket to make it any worse. And so he's probably going to be a pocket quarterback for this game. And even then, his throwing ability is going to be very dangerous against this team. If Colt McCoy starts, well, we saw, even though in that upset by the Giants in Seattle last year, this Colt McCoy didn't do good at all in that game. So the offense is going to be totally downgraded. And whether it's Kyler Murray or Colt McCoy starting, the Cards are already without AJ Green, who's on the COVID list. On defense, J.J. Watt is out for the season with the shoulder injury, and the Cardinals could be without DeAndre Hopkins too, with the hamstring injury. So this is the 49ers' best opportunity to get the revenge win, at least split the season series with the Cardinals, just as long Jimmy G replicates his success from last week against the Bears. So My gut says 49ers, but who knows? It could be Cardinals too. So it's very hard to predict. Then in the Sunday night game, it's a Super Bowl rematch between the Tennessee Titans and the LA Rams. I'm going to go with the LA Rams because it's just so hard to predict what the Titans is going to be without Derrick Henry. I do know is that they're just going to have to throw the ball a lot against a more electric Rams offense. Like they're at least for this week, like even though they have Adrian Peterson, Ryan Tannehill's not going to have that benefit of, running the ball down the Rams' throat, especially with Aaron Donald on the other side. I think the first game without Derrick Henry is going to be one with growing pains, and the Rams are just going to pull out all the stops on Tannehill on this one. And then in the Monday night game, the Monday night closer, oh yeah, are you ready for this one? Yeah, are you ready for some Monday night Bears football? Yeah, Bears football, John, on a Monday night. Yeah, the Chicago Bears take on the Pittsburgh Steelers for some prime time Monday night Bears football, John. Yeah, I mean, let's not get wrong. Justin Fields did have a solid showing against the 49ers last week, but the Bears are not going to have that same benefit when they play in the Steelers. And TJ Watt on defense. Yeah, the Steelers front seven is much tougher than the 49ers. Don't get it wrong. And the Bears' shitty offensive line is going to have a much tougher task to protect Justin Fields. And Big Ben is still washed hack, but the Steelers, are still as a little bit better than right now than Bears football. Yeah, Bears football, John. Yeah, Maggle. You ready for some Bears football on a Monday night, Maggle? You better be. Yeah. So those are my week 9 picks for this coming week. Obviously, the Thursday night game happened, but let me know how you feel about these picks. You probably have different picks than mine, but let me know how you feel, whether it's on the YouTube comments or social media comments. However you can.